there, welcome back to the See the Stories, our second segment of the 3-hour news show. Talking about plastics. Plastic are used in nearly all activities, including packaging, construction, medical equipment, and electronics.
I cannot agree more to that, Akir. And both plastic production and waste would rise each year, and this has become a lingering environmental issue.
Plastic production is indeed very high, considering some of the advantages offered, including affordable prices, flexibility, and high durability. However, plastic materials take years to decompose, thus becoming one of the biggest environmental issues for decades.
Now, according to the Plastic Waste Makers Index, the world generated 139 million metric tons of single-use waste back in 2021. This was 6 million metric tons more than in 2019. This is certainly not a very shocking number, so we know that a lot of people in this world still very much use single-use plastic. So I want to ask you, Akir, I mean, this is just a nice gesture, very simple. What you usually do to help, not using a lot of plastic waste and single plastic usage of, containers or anything? What do you usually do?
Well, it's actually quite a hard equation for me now. I mean, at home, me and my family, we try to first that come to my mind that we always separate the plastic
between the plastic and the other types.
So we would like to make some little contribution to the circular economy related to the people or the person who wants to collect like clean plastic that they want to use. They usually ask for some plastic bottles.
Yes.
That's the first thing that I usually do at home. And then the second one, I try not to use any plastic things for the garbage things. We try to use like more recyclable plastics, and then use tote bags for doing some shoppings. How about you?
Yeah. Okay. Very simple thing is just bringing my lunchbox if I want to have food outside. On the bubur ayam, for example. Just bring your own lunchbox. And that you don't need to bring home any polystyrene, box or any other types of packaging that includes plastic. And also dividing between the plastic garbage and the other ones as well works. But the hardest thing is that the plastic waste, I mean, for the bag of trash is still plastic, unfortunately. Okay, so speaking of plastic waste, tell me some simple gestures we already did. So now we want to know more about how to best actually reduce the plastic waste.
You're
talking about circular economy, right?
Yeah. So talking about reducing plastic waste can be done in various ways, and used plastic can also be processed into more useful items, as illustrated by 3D Oasis. 3D Oasis, a social enterprise that recycles waste bottles and sachets into high-quality materials for industrial use. What was once useless and destructive to the environment has become a source of income plus employment for hundreds of local residents to help manage the waste chain. And luckily, now we have with us our 3D Oasis founder, Dian Kurniawati.
Welcome, Dian. Okay, so I just wondering, 3D Oasis, does it, is it an abbreviation of names or something? Because your name starts with D, right?
Oh, really?
And it's
like 3D, 3
TRI, so it's very Indonesian, right?
Oh.
And D.
Yeah, that's actually correct, because original founders were 3 people, and coincidentally, it's all started with D.
Dian?
It's actually DI. Dian, Dinda, Dimas.
Oh, wow.
Super easy, just put it 3D, and Oasis is like, we would like to be an oasis in the desert, and give a solution.
Blessing of water, solution in the desert of
blessings
plastic issues.
Exactly.
More like hopes, actually. If you see Oasis, like your hope is
hope.
Yeah. So how do you think how bad is it for the plastic waste to the environment as an impact?
Well, I mean, before I go to that impact, maybe just a bit historical, because it's so easy to say that this is so bad and this is our enemy and so on. So I just want to give some balance on the story of plastics. If we just step back the historically why and how plastic was produced. Interestingly, in that 18 something, initially plastic was produced to replace ivory.
Ivory.
Yeah,
So
so
it's
at that
actually a
time,
little- yeah.
at that time it
Not
was
too
for
bad.
saving the elephant, right? And then after that, then during the World War, plastic was used for supporting product like helmet and so on for the war. So at that time, like it was supporting to save, let's say, life. Then after the World War, coming the industrialization or commercialization, where people use paper bag and cut more trees, like more paper bag is used, then more trees were cut. So plastics replacing the packaging for,
Saving
let's
the
say,
forest.
saving the trees.
Saving the
yes,
trees.
yes. And then
It's
decades
like three
after,
times as a hero from 18
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
From
Tusk,
elephants,
elephants
and
to
then paper to
paper and World War as well.
yeah,
World War and then
saving
trees,
lives.
then decades after, because of like what you just mentioned, like the easiness and cheap and elasticity and durability and so on, then production and consumption become just triple
Extensive,
times and
yes.
more and more and more. However, it was not balanced with the way you manage and control and make like recovery, how to recover this waste, because it's essentially it's difficult to decompose, like take thousands years. So then now that we are like the material that used to be like produced or created to save the earth, and now we like really hate because that's become our enemy.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's not because of material; it's because that
Us.
we
Yes, it's our
it's like
attitude.
overconsumption,
Behavior,
overproduced,
Overuse.
but overuse. Yeah, like we need to rethink actually before we use, then overuse, then not balance on how to manage it. So then so now the problem is like we created like 6.8 million tons Indonesia itself every year of the plastic pollution, and it's not as well then balance with
How we
the
manage
way
it.
we manage it, right?
Yeah.
Waste or plastic itself. So
I-
that's how big it is, I think. But thankfully, like several initiatives and government support and so on towards and awareness, right? Right now we have this topic because of plastics.
Yeah.
Right.
So thankfully, it's towards how reduce or
Yes,
controlling
and the numbers are
pollution.
really high globally as well.
Right. I just would like to share a bit of my experience when back in 2019 I went to Davos for World Economic Forum. At the time, I heard for the first time the topic of the issue of ocean plastic debris.
Yes.
Since then, I mean, it's getting more specific, but it's like it's getting worse of the
Because
issue of plastic
now
because
it's like a continent itself.
yeah. So it is
Ocean.
really an important topic that we need to
Yes.
discuss and to
Yes.
find the resolution for this. So the next question, why did you choose to develop 3D Oasis as a recycling social enterprise? I mean, the entity is quite different. Recycling social enterprise at the same time.
At the same time.
Yeah.
At the same time, yes, thanks. I mean, personally, I don't have background in waste management or environment and so on. I was in management consulting, like a normal job, but I have personal interest in environment. And then obviously when we work in a company, we just want to resign and do our own thing. And just to be honest, yeah.
You're reading
So-
our mind.
Oh my goodness.
So then I was thinking, okay, I need to quit and do something on my own, but it has to be something like having meaning,
Yeah.
like an impact.
With the
which is-
purpose, yeah?
With the purpose, which I love, which is environment. And then like what normal people do right now, we're just Googling, oh, what can we do actually with the waste? And then I come up, oh, the biggest problem is in plastics, so actually what we can do with plastics. And then come the idea that actually plastic is a resource.
Yeah.
Because you essentially can recycle it back and
Yeah.
become a new material without really needed to use the virgin plastics coming from the fossil oil and so on. And then then we make a business plan, and I met my co-founders, and then they agreed, okay, let's do this, and then make a smaller scale, and it works. And then thanks actually to a good timing, because when we started 2017 and 2018, then it becomes more popular in terms of the demand wise and investor as well. So then we grow and yeah, the rest is the story then.
Right. I love the step of just you did Googling first. Like,
yeah.
like everybody can do it actually. Yeah? If you want to do with some with the purpose, like you've mentioned you have the interest in environment, so you start Googling and you start voila until right now.
Yes, thank
So a
you.
bit more questions. So
Yes.
how does it work? I mean the recycling, the social enterprise. How does it work?
How does it work? Yeah, because our mission, I mean, when we set up the company, the mission is obviously not solely for profit. Of course, as a company, you need to make a profit, right? It's financially. But what we want to have is also this triple bottom line impact, meaning that we have a target on in terms of the environment, like how many plastics that we need to divert from the ocean, from the environment, and so on. And then the impact in terms of the social, in plastic waste management or like the value chain, we work a lot, or maybe only with the informal sectors, those waste pickers, collectors, junk shops. So that's the social impact that we would like to attack and become our metrics. And then we have, of course, the economical impact, like from financial wise, and also the economic that we can create from buying those plastics from these waste pickers and the collectors, and also from the jobs that we created to the residents, local residents around our facility.
Yeah, so basically what you're doing is recycling plastic waste into something that
Yes.
is useful, so reusing it again for purposes that, you know, more long-lasting, right? So it means you can still do this because there's still a lot of plastic waste, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So have you come into has it come into your mind when people really understand that, you know, let's stop using plastic? Do you think it's a good idea or is it not a good idea? Because in a way, you mentioned we actually want to limit our paper use.
Yes.
And all that, and so somehow plastic has aided our life as well.
Right. I mean, yeah, I mean, we cannot lie. It's everything now almost made of plastics. Even my t-shirt, I think, from polyester, which is made from plastics. But talking about plastic, it's like a spectrum, right? You have the low value, you have high value. So it's not like all is low value or cannot be processed. So
Yes.
when it comes to high value, let's say the plastic bottles, it's very high value, so that's why it become like an income also for the waste pickers and so on, and it's easy to get recycled, and then it can become a new product. But then you have this unnecessary low value plastics, such as like plastic sachets.
Oh,
those
these are
things.
plastic sachets.
Yeah.
I was going to ask about it
It's
because I
aluminum.
thought we were going to have a game with the candy.
My favorite game.
Harissa.
I mean, my favorite
With
brand.
some candies as the prize, but actually it comes with a, what do we call it? Candy wraps or not? Or what kind of plastic is it?
Everything here, it's the plastic sachet shampoo, snacks.
It's the noodles.
Noodles,
Yeah.
coffee,
Yeah.
instant coffee, and so on. So these low value plastic, including straws,
Straws.
those things are difficult to get recycled. So for those things,
And these
I
are the low
think-
value.
Exactly. I think then it's fair to say, or trash bag, that's actually
Trash bag.
low value, right?
Yeah.
It's fair to say that if you don't really need it, then why do you even use it? Even
So-
plastic bottles, right? You can actually refill it. But let's say if you already consume it, especially plastic sachet
In
for
the supermarket, you don't
developing
have any
countries.
options, though. I mean,
No,
yeah.
especially for developing countries, right?
Yes.
Like they can, in terms of for affordability and also the logistics and so on, it's much more sense.
This is what we can afford.
Exactly.
So,
to use
so
that.
how do you come about
Yeah.
in recycling this?
Because I'm seeing this.
Yes.
What is
No.
that?
Oh yeah.
Yes, it looks really nice.
Yeah.
It's
cute
a table. Yeah, it's a
but it comes from this.
Yes.
It's from this?
From plastic sachet and.
What did you do
like
to turn this into that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we started with high value plastics. Those plastic bottles that you say that being segregated and then someone else buy it or they can sell it somewhere else.
Yeah.
So those plastic bottles we recycled into raw materials like the flakes, you know, like
Very
corn
tiny
flakes or chips.
Ah,
let's say.
yes.
And that become a raw material, and it has been like growing, and we already have the market on that. But then after that, we realized that actually the biggest problem right now is this low value plastics, because it's low value, so then no one like pick it up and recycle it,
Yeah.
become something, every time we do beach cleanup, because we also do beach cleanup event,
This
You
is
always
what
found
we
it.
found.
80
Yes.
to 90% is just sachet.
Yes, and
Not
it's come from
unnecessary.
around the world. Yeah, when we talk about
Well-
garbage from on the beach, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
actually we do normally beach cleanup in Thousand Island, and
Yeah.
we choose the uninhabited island.
Uninhabited.
So yeah, so that plastics coming from the mainland, Jakarta.
Mainland of Jakarta,
or-
Wow.
Yeah, us. So what we do then, we try to do some research. So this was our first product in 2020. So we tried to.
COVID pandemic era product.
Yes, yes, it was born because of the COVID. We want to diversify. Anyway, yeah. So then the logic is then we wash it and make it into flakes like this, like chips, and then we melting it, melting it, right? Because essentially all plastics are melted and then they become combined together, and then molding it into something. And this was our first prototype to make a furniture. And then we realized that when become business plan and so on, it's so difficult to sell furniture. Yes, like you need to have a good design and then marketing and so on. So now what we do for the plastic sachets is two things. One is we make the pallet for warehouse because it's standard product and it can be replaced. It can replace the wooden pallet that normally companies are doing or using. So we try to replace that wooden pallet with plastic pallets, and also we work with a cement company because these can replace the coal for their fuel.
Wow, again, plastic is a hero now.
Oh,
Yeah.
we turned.
But anyway, we want to talk more with Dian Kurniawati, but for now, we're going on a break first. Don't go anywhere because plastic will be here and we're going to talk about it more. Stay tuned.